Weary with toil, I haste me to my bed. The dear repose for limbs with travel tired. But then begins a journey in my head to work my mind when the body's works expired. For then my thoughts, from far where I abide, intend a zealous pilgrimage to thee, and keep my dropping eyelids open wide, looking on darkness which the blind do see. Save my soul's imaginary sight presents thy shadow to my sightless view, which like a jewel hung in glassy night makes black night piteous and her old face new. Lo thus, by day my limbs, by night my mind, for thee and for myself, no quiet find.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad SYAHIN bin Muhammad Noor, and my number metric is 208532. Today, I'm going to share with you my analysis for poem Sonnet 27 by William Shakespeare. First, the background information. William Shakespeare is a famous English poet that lived from 1564 till 1616 and published his works during the reign of two English monarchs, Queen Elizabeth I and King James I. His sonnets were written over several years during Elizabeth's reign and subsequently appeared in print during James, known as the Jacobean. Sonnet 27 is one of the Shakespeare's lesser-known sonnets. This poem, alongside with other 553 poems, was first published as a collective whole in 1609 by Thomas Thorpe in London, now known as Quarto publication. The first 126 of the sonnets, in turn, are addressed to an unnamed male aristocrat that scholars call the faith youth. Plus, it is believed that this poem has been created during the years 1592 until 93, when theatres throughout London were closed due to the plague disease, giving Shakespeare time to write and distribute them among friends. Next is the summary of the poem. Work extremely hard and showing extreme tiredness from work, I urgently myself to bed, regarded with deep affection of rest for arms and legs that are exhausted from traveling. But then more traveling begins in my head, resulting in my mind to work even though the body is already fatigued. It it's then for my thoughts, from far away where I origin, undertake a strong desire to an unknown journey to find you. My heavy eyes, still awake and wide open, stare at the pitch black darkness, that same as the blind people see. Although I couldn't see, my soul's imagination brings you in sight, presents your shadow to be my light. It is like a jewel that hangs in a horrifying and terrifying night, and makes this blackness beautiful, as if your old face becomes young again. So it turns out during the day my limbs, and at night my mind find no rest, either you or me. And then the theme of the poem. The theme of Sonnet 27 poems is obsession and love. Sonnet 27 find its speaker was very tired and exhausted after a long day at work and travel. But although he is very tired, his mind was traveled on something else, which is to be believed to think about his lover. It makes his mind restless, and it shows that how love could affect a person so much until it cannot be stopped or cast away from the speaker's mind. It is indeed a true destructive power to possess. In line 3, but then begins a journey in my head, stated that the obsession of thinking of the other person is exists. In a logical way of thinking, if you are tired from working and plus traveling, you must immediately just want to go to bed without any hesitation or second thoughts. But this situation does not apply with the speaker, as when he tried to get a dear repose, a wonderful rest, instead he thinks about his lover. he begins to start another journey, but within his head or mental state of journey. This shows that the speaker is obsessed with the woman that he loves so much until he wasted his pleasure and wonderful rest by thinking about the lover's whereabout. Next is love. In line 6, intend a zealous pilgrimage to thee. The word zealous refers to the speaker is feel or showing a strong and energetic desire to get something done or see something succeed, and he is willing to pilgrimage. Means that he is taking a journey or path that is unknown to get to his lover. This shows how much he devoted in loving her, and his eyelids that keep dropping because of intense fatigue was continue to open because of his imaginations I keep imaging on her. Next is the structure of the poem. Sonnet 27 follows the traditional Shakespearean form, meaning that it has 14 lines made up of 3 quatrains and a closing couplet. Couplet offers a stanza consisting of 2 lines that usually rhyme, which is stated in the poem: Lo thus by day my limbs, by night my mind, for thee and for myself know quite fine. And then if we look through, the poem also features a change of direction at the start of line 9, which is the traditional turning point or volta in Petrarchan sonnets. This is where the speakers move for speaking about his inability of sleep, although he is very tired, to envisioning his jewel life of his beloved lover. Next is the analysis of the poem, um, according, but in terms of denotative and connotative meaning. In stanza 1, the detonative meaning of the speaker is very exhausted and burnt out from working all day, and he was in a hurry to lay on his bed due to overwhelming tiredness. But then the necessity of having his legs and arms to rest after a long traveling time rises. But as soon as he tries to get a good rest, his head is start to think about something, and his mind is indeed started to work, although his body is already at its limit. On the other hand, the connotative meaning of this stanza is the speaker is restless with his physical body, but the mental stays to work, and the word begins a journey, not to mean that he is going to for another journey after finish working, but it means that his thoughts to be continued to function and work as it is really having a real journey. Plus, this journey only to be meant in his mind and not in the real life settings. In addition, he started to think about his beloved lover in distance. In stanza 2, the denotative meaning is the speaker is starting to explore his mind of work, and he did state that he came far away from his origin place. Next, the speaker has the concrete desire or will to pilgrimage to find his beloved lover. Although his eyes were tired and needed some rest, his mind is widely open, imagining his lover. And he stated that he is like a blind man that only see the pitch black of darkness. From the connotative point of view, it means that the speaker is attempting the journey to back to his lover, and the word zealous pilgrimage is used to show the depth of love feelings of the speaker towards his lover. It needs devotion, faith, and the willingness to fully commit to the person you love so much for you to do so. Next, in stanza 3, the denotative meaning is despite in pure darkness, the soul of the speaker starts to see the shadow of his lover. It presents its lover in the form of a shadow, and the speaker stated that his lover is looking like a jewel that is suspended in that horrifying or terrible night, as the word ghastly night means to. Plus, the appearance of the jewel-like lover makes the dark and horrifying night beautiful, and the old lover's face is new and young again. For the connotative meaning, the speaker side in the reality sightless because of the dark, yet his imagination is still able to deliver her lover's shadow to him, and that makes him at least feeling very happy to see his lover despite of his tiredness working all day long. In addition, his lover is beautiful as being proposed like a jewel that is suspended in the night, and this resulting the night to be beautiful. In couplet, the detonative meaning is the speaker is finally realized that by day his legs and arm that is tired from working, and by night his mind is mentally exhausted, caused by the obsession of thinking his beloved lover. And then for him and his lover, it is a 24 hours of relationship. The connotative meaning stated that the speaker is totally wrapped up or bond with his lover all the time due to their intense love that happened between the two of them. He is indeed wanting some peace in his life and probably get it at most during his sleeping time, but love truly defeats others and define the true meaning of existence between them. Next is the poetic device in poem. In Sonnet 27, the personification of the poem is an unnamed male aristocrat that the scholars call him the fair youth. It could be this person was very attractive or have a high social level in the society. Next is rhyme scheme. Sonnet 27 follows the typical rhyme scheme of a Shakespearean sonnet. That is ABAB, CDCD, EFEF, GG. It means that the three quatrains use an alternative rhyme pattern, which is the first line in each quatrain rhymes with the third, the second line in each quatrain rhymes with the fourth, and before the ending caps it all off with a quick couplet. So the rhymes propel the poem forward as the speaker imagination leads him to the vision of his absent lover. After that, tone of the poem is an obsessive type of romanticism. It shows throughout the whole poem when speaker is obsessing thinking about his lover until he couldn't have a good sleep, although his body is already drained due to working all day. Plus, despite the tiredness of mental imagination that he undergoes, he felt very happy because at least he could see his lover in his imaginary side. This shows that love can be painful and demanding by the time goes. On the other hand, the mood of this poem started with the tense of the speaker needed for a good rest after working all day long. But at the same time, he is lonely in his bed and starts to think about his absent lover. Then in line 6 and 8, the mood changes to mysterious when the speakers portray that he starts to wander in his imaginations, and it is indeed only darkness that he could see, as same as a blind man eyes sees. And then in line 8 until 12, the mood changes to light-hearted when the speaker starts to see his lover but in the form of shadow, and it stated that his lover is like a jewel hanging in a glassy night. He was amused by the beautiful of his jewel-like lover and feels very happy as he can see her. On to the next is the imagery. The main imagery involved in Sonnet 27 is the visual imagery. In line 9 and 10, the speaker sees the vision of his lover in a form of a shadow. Plus, he sees that his lover is like a jewel hanging in a terrifying night that is dark, and often night is considered as a symbol of sinister or evil. Lastly is the kinesthetic imagery. In line 1 and 2, we can see that the speaker is working using his legs and arms that is usually preferred by limbs, and this shows his movement imagery. After that, we go to the sound devices in the poem. There is an alliteration in the poem. Alliteration means the repetition of consonant words such as B, C, D, and other else. Consonant means a speech sound that is not vowel, so it means that other than A, E, I, or U, that is a consonant word. In the poem, the breathy W sounds of weary with might evoke heavy breathing, and it means that the speaker is very exhausted. In the next line, the T sounds of travel tired emphasize of the speaker's overwhelming of tiredness or fatigue. Finally, the B sounds of black and beauteous in line 12 are a decoration that calls attention to the newfound beauty of the dark night. So it means that black is beauty. Following the sound devices is the simile and metaphor of the poem. The simile of the poem is in line 7, line 11, when it says, which like a jewel hung in glassy night. Simile means that A is like B. So through this understanding, we could say that the speaker is not seeing a true jewel in front of him in his imagination, but his lover that looks very beautiful, astonishing, and mesmerize him as he is like a jewel hang in a glassy night. Next is the metaphor. Metaphor means A is B. So we can say that whenever A is mentioned, it is also have the same meaning as B. In line 3, but then begins a journey in my head is an example of a metaphor. The word journey has the same meaning as an endless thought that the speaker had onto his lover. So those two words had brought the same meaning of having a journey of an endless thought of the speaker toward his absent lover. Lastly, the conclusion. In a nutshell, Sonnet 27 is a storyline of a youth fair man that has an extensive obsession to his absent lover. He sees her and imagine looking at her like a jewel in the dark night. He is happy, but at last he did realize that there is no rest either for him or her as they are in a position of loving and thinking of each other too much. Indeed, romance and love are torturous and exhausting. That's all from me. Thank you.